Welcome to your screencast on energy systems. So we've done the cardiovascular system. Now we need to look at the energy system, i.e. the blood that we use with regards to getting oxygen to the working muscles. Now we need to understand how we make energy. Okay, so we're going to go through each energy system within this screencast, and then we'll talk about the adaptations in a later screencast. Okay, so we all know about that now, so I don't need to go through that. First of all, the three energy systems that we have. Can you link the pictures to the energy systems? Then can you also just name the energy systems for me? So pause this now if you give that a go. Okay, so what you should have is the top one is the Atp Pc System, the second one is the Lactate System, and the third one is the Aerobic System. And hopefully you've got the shot putter as part of the Atp Pc System, the 400-meter final run of the Lactate System, and then finally the Aerobic System is that picture on the right hand side of the guys doing a triathlon. So a little bit of information before we start about the role of ATP within exercise. Okay, so within the muscle we have ATP readily available straight away. However, this is used up within about 3 seconds and it needs to be replenished. So we replenish it or resynthesize it immediately with the Atp Pc System. Then the Lactate System, then we move on to the Aerobic System. Here's just a little diagram for you so you can actually see. So after 3 seconds, something that takes 3 seconds, a goal swing, a punch in boxing, something like that. Once you have used that, you move on to your first energy system, okay, which is the Atp Pc System. So what does this stand for? Adenosine triphosphate phosphocreatine system. Key points about this system is it's anaerobic, i.e. it does not need oxygen to create energy, okay. It lasts between 3 to 10 seconds, so it's short duration, high intensity activities. The fuel used is phosphocreatine. It is in the name of the actual system. It's the Atp Pc System. That gives away what the fuel is. It's the PC that I've pointed the arrow to there. Phosphocreatine is broken down by creatine kinase. We're going to go through the actual diagram PowerPoint that I have that in lesson just to reiterate the point. And the energy yield is 1 ATP. So for 1 mole of phosphocreatine, we get 1 mole of ATP, which isn't a lot. It's not that much, hence it only lasts for 10 seconds. 100-meter sprinter, shot put, and javelin are the examples within sport. And finally, a very useful piece of information that you need to know is it is replenished aerobically. So after 10 seconds, it's run out, it's gone. However, during exercise such as a marathon, when we're using our aerobic system, the phosphocreatine stores will replenish again. This is really important with team sports such as hockey, rugby, football. That's why people can continue to make short sprints and short bursts of pace, because they've replenished their phosphocreatine stores aerobically. Before we move on, I am just going to show you the breakdown just to remind you of what happens. So this is first of all just the breakdown of ATP itself. So you have ATP, adenosine triphosphate. ATPase comes along, attaches to the last phosphate, energy released to contract the muscle. Now we are left with ADP. ADP is not energy, we need ATP to create energy, and that is why it is important that all these the three energy systems we go through, they're trying to create ATP so we can have muscular contractions taking place. Don't worry about that, that's going to be the next system. So this is what happens with phosphocreatine. This is the Atp Pc System. Now you can see the PC at the bottom, the phosphocreatine. Creatine kinase is the enzyme. It attaches to the phosphocreatine, splits them up. So we have the phosphate, free phosphate. That free phosphate there joins on with ADP to make ATP so that we can have, so it's resynthesized and we can have energy once again. And that's released from the breakdown of PC. There you go. So advantages of this system. Instant energy for explosive contractions. It's phosphocreatine in the muscle. We do not have to wait for any crazy, difficult chemical reaction to take place. It's instant energy for us. ATP is resynthesized quickly due to PC stores and simple reactions. You do not have to wait for oxygen from the lungs, so it is very fast acting, and there are no fatiguing byproducts. We do not get lactic acid from the Atp Pc System. Disadvantages: small stores of PC available in the muscle, provides energy for 10 to 15 seconds at peak, so not very long at all. And then finally, the 1 mole of ATP made per mole of PC. That is not enough. It is not a lot. If you get a question on the ATP Pc system, you've got to try and put all information as much as possible you can think of within that question. So this information has to go in there as well. Okay, so let's move back and go on to the lactate system. So the lactate system, once again, that is also anaerobic. Now, once ATP Pc stores have run out, we go on to the lactate system. So it runs from 10 seconds, because that's when the ATP Pc system runs out, to 2 to 3 minutes. The fuel used is glycogen or glucose. Okay, glycogen is broken down by PFK, that's phosphofructokinase. The energy yield from that is 2 ATP, so it's more than the ATP Pc system, hence why we can go for 2 to 3 minutes using glycogen. Remember that glycogen is from carbohydrates that we eat, so the carbohydrates that we eat we break down into glycogen. Sporting events, 400 meters to 800 meters. Lactic acid is a waste product, that is vital. Okay, that is very, very important, the fact that this system produces lactic acid, which means we can no longer have a muscular contraction, fatigue, we can no longer perform. So if I just show you an actual diagram form of this, hopefully it'll make it clearer. So we have carbohydrates such as pasta. This gets broken down into glucose. Okay, that glucose is then converted into pyruvic acid via the enzyme phosphofructokinase. You'll be okay if you just put PFK. From that happens, 2 ATP are released. Now, without oxygen present, pyruvic acid is then turned into lactic acid. You don't need to know this enzyme here, so don't worry about it. This is a very simple, short, small reaction that takes place. It's not difficult. We have glucose. Glucose is turned to pyruvic acid via PFK. Without oxygen, it's then turned into lactic acid. From that process, 2 ATP are released. I'll go on to the advantages and disadvantages of that system. So advantages: do not have to wait for oxygen from the lungs, large stores of glycogen in the body, in the muscle and liver, more fuel than the ATP Pc system, i.e. 2 ATP. Few reactions mean fast production of energy for high intensity exercise, 10 to 15 seconds to 3 minutes. Advantages: lactic acid is produced, i.e. causing fatigue, a negative impact of the lactate system. Finally, the aerobic system. So it's aerobic. Okay, we use oxygen during this system. It goes from 2 to 3 minutes onwards. The fuel used is glucose and fatty acids. It's really important you understand the fuels that are used. So it's glucose and fatty acids. Sports, marathon and triathlon. Okay, so the aerobic system is split up into 3 kind of subsections that you need to be aware of, you need to know. And I'm just going to go through them now. Stage 1 is known as aerobic glycolysis. So if a question asks you just to evaluate, analyse, describe, explain the aerobic system, you'll have to go through this. Aerobic glycolysis is the first stage. Carbs are broken down into glucose. This is converted into pyruvic acid using oxygen, just like the lactate system. However, the difference is now oxygen is present. So what happens is we get another stage from this. So from this whole process, 2 ATP are produced, just like within the lactate system. However, oxygen is present. So what that means now is, from there we go into the Krebs cycle, which is stage 2. Pyruvic acid is converted into citric acid. From this, 2 ATP are produced. Carbon dioxide is produced, as well as hydrogen. So those 3 things are produced. So then stage 3, the electron transport chain, this hydrogen combines or is accepted by a hydrogen acceptor. Oxygen enters the electron transport chain as well as this hydrogen, and this creates 34 ATP and H2O. So you've got to think 34 ATP are produced within the electron transport chain, 2 ATP are produced in the Krebs cycle, and 2 in aerobic glycolysis. That's 38 altogether. Okay, so there's a lot of ATP there, a lot of energy, a lot of time for muscular contraction. Aerobic system is low intensity. Okay, it's really important that you get that. And once again, I will show you on this PowerPoint, as it does simplify it for you. So aerobic aerobic system, aerobic glycolysis, because no oxygen is present. So it's still the same process. Glucose turns into pyruvic acid via PFK, and we have 2 ATP produced. However, now oxygen is present, so ignore the lactic acid part, ignore this bit on the left here. So we go glucose converted into pyruvic acid, then pyruvic acid, because oxygen is present, is turned into citric acid. You don't need to know about all that. This is all we care about, citric acid. This enters the Krebs cycle. 2 ATP are produced, carbon dioxide is produced, and so is hydrogen. So what happens? This hydrogen is then accepted by hydrogen acceptors, goes into the electron transport chain with oxygen, and 34 ATP are produced, and so is H2O. You do not need to worry about this here or these here. Okay, so it's glucose, pyruvic acid, citric acid, CO2 out, 2 ATP out. Need to remember the 2 ATP up here as well. Hydrogen out, hydrogen into here, hydrogen acceptor, oxygen in here, 34 ATP produced with H2O. Okay, don't worry about that. The advantages of the aerobic system: large stores of glycogen and fat in the body, more fuel than other systems, large amounts of ATP, 36 to 38 moles produced from 1 mole of glucose, even more from fat. So you have to understand, from Atp Pc System, we only get 1 mole of ATP via 1 mole of phosphocreatine. So from 1 mole of glucose here, we get 36 to 38 ATP. Hopefully you can understand how important that is. No harmful byproducts. Disadvantages: it takes time. Okay, so there's a delay in oxygen delivery from the lungs. Don't start using it until after 2 minutes. Systems cannot work at high intensities due to slow oxygen delivery, and that is the end of that one. Now, due to times, guys, I'm going to have to rush through this. I want you to pause this and give this a go. Okay, this is what you should be having. Okay, I want you just to go through that on your own. I don't have to read it out for you. You can all read, you can all see that. Okay, so memory method to use to remember what you need to discuss when it's talking about the energy systems is FATEB. Remember, fuel, active enzymes, time, energy yield, byproduct. What I want you to go through now are these questions. Now, because of the time, I'm not going to be able to go through the answers in every single one. I just want you to on yourself. So pause each one of these and then go through the answers. There are quite a lot, but I want you to get used to this energy system process. Okay, so describe the process of ATP production from carbohydrates through the aerobic energy system. There's your answer. Pause that, get it down. Next question. Explain why competing in a hockey match has this effect on muscle ATP Pc stores. Pause this, give that a go. There's your answer. Get down, make sure you've got everything correct. It accepts any other appropriate answers, so if you've got something similar, do not worry, give yourself a mark for that. Next question. Evaluate the importance of the aerobic energy system for elite 100-meter sprinting competition and training. I'm going to pause it now. I'm going to flick onto the answer. There's your answer. So pause this, get the answer down. Next question. Describe the process of the Krebs cycle. 5 marks. Pause it, give it a go. There's your answer. Evaluate the importance of the ATP Pc energy system for elite marathon runners in a race. Again, pause this, give it a go. There's your answer. Not the clearest answer, guys, I realise, but hopefully you can get enough from that. Explain how Elisa's body uses oxygen to recover after intense exercise. Pause this and give it a go. There's your answer. Explain why increasing creatine stores may have an impact on Abby's sprint time. Now that's to do with an adaptation, which I'm going to go through the next screencast, but you can still answer that. So pause this and give it a go. There's your answer. Evaluate the importance of the aerobic system for Jasmine's rugby performance. You might want to read this part as well. Due to time, I'm running out, so just pause that and give it a go. And there's your answer for that one. Right, guys, I hope that's helped the energy systems. Next one, we'll be going through the adaptations. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Thank you. Bye.